Rewire this for your man to commit. That's what we're talking about tonight. This is a good one. I have a video here that you're really going to like because it is 5 things that we can use to rewire our wiring that is the cause of so many issues in our relationships, and certainly the cause of our angst and unhappiness. A lot of the time, this is what hangs us up. It's a wire that hangs us up. We can think about it like that. And tonight, we are going to talk about it vis a vis what this psychologist lays out so beautifully. I've not heard it laid out like this. He really has a gift for laying it out there, and I want to give that to you. And then we're going to get to Q&A. I actually have to queue up here. There is going to be someone on talking with me, so we want to do that and get that going for you when it is time for Q&A. So we will do that now and see if she's on yet. Actually, not yet, but we do Q&A here by talking to women that either are my clients or are in the 80/20 Wonder Club, which you can be a part of very easily. You can then talk to me here on the air, ask your question. You can do so anonymously. We have an easy way to do that, and that's what I'm going to be talking to her when she comes on tonight. Hopefully, we have that scheduled, and I will bring that to you. So, before we get started, and some people are on tonight already, if you don't know who I am and you're just coming across this video for the first time and my channel for the first time over here on YouTube, and I have people on Instagram as well joining in, I'm Coach Paula Grooms, a dating and relationship coach for women, licensed social worker, and author of the book, Why Won't He Commit? How a Man Decides to Make You the One. I help you find a Mr. Right, get an ex back, or grow an existing relationship with a man you truly desire so you create the relationship of your dreams and then level up to the complete commitment you totally deserve. That's what I'm all about, getting you the secure, safe, committed relationships that you want, because you want that one special one. I understand that. I want that for you. And I can tell you that it is absolutely possible for you to have what you want when you reframe things, work things in a little bit of a different way. It is simple, not easy, but when we really get down to the simplicity of it and you understand that, you will help yourself immensely. So tonight we're going to be talking about this. I just want to make sure I have it on correctly so that you'll be able to, yes, hear. How are you? How are you, Couch? Coach, I'm good. Nice to see you. Full of peace. Love that. I want to get to this rewiring that is in the subject line for tonight. Because if you're here, you know that we talk all the time about our subconscious programming being at the core of many of the issues we sustain in love relationships. This is foundational for us all because we were all babies at one time. And when we were from birth to age 7, we were programmed with our belief system about our lovability, about our worth, about how we must interact with a love interest in order to get attention, time, caring, respect, all of it. So each one of us has a unique understanding and concept of what love is. Our programming is actually an imprint in in our minds of what love is, not what we hear on the outside, not what we see in romantic movies or read in romantic novels or anything even related to relationships. No, we actually have a an imprinted concept, so to speak, of what love is and why we can be so similar to someone else, maybe another woman, and actually uh, she will have a totally different experience of love than we do. Uh, we we really could have a twin that has a totally different experience of what love is. So I want to get to this rewiring that we're talking about because when we are mindful of what we need to do to override some of this programming with specific things, we help ourselves immensely to have more of the love experience we want. And that's what I'm all about, helping you to get there, understanding these concepts of your own mind, your own self concept, your subconscious programming. That's one way, that's the mindset. The second way is through manifestation, meaning using what I like best is law of assumption. Some people like law of attraction, but I use Neville Goddard's law of assumption to help you stay in the manifestation and live in the knowing that you can have what you want. And there's modalities to do that, and a lot of interesting and fun ways to go about living more in a state of knowing that you have what you want and you're going to have what you want, and you can create the experiences you want. And then the third is my mechanics of men, which we talk about here, a la what we need to do to more align ourselves with the concepts that, or concepts might be the wrong word, but what men most need, want, and react positively to in terms of women. For example, you know from my book, one of the uh, foundational things, for example, is that we women differ from men in many, many ways, but women generally are about the three C's I talk about. We are about connecting, cooperating, and caretaking to a great degree, fundamentally. Of course, we're all on a scale with all traits, but fundamentally, that's who we are. Men are more about challenge, competition, and conquering. Now, it doesn't mean that men can't have some of our C's and we can't have some of his, but fundamentally, if we don't relate to those C's for him, he lacks the inspiration and the impetus and the foundational desire for us in a way that is necessary to get to what we want in a love relationship. So, one of the reasons that we have a hard time with the first part, the mindset, and even the manifestation to a great degree, is what we want to talk about under, like, the negativity bias is a big part of this, because the human animals that we are wired to be looking out all the time for the negative stuff in our world because we need to stay safe. And when we lived in the wild, this was profoundly useful. And now that we are not having to be protected all the time and fighting off marauders all the time and animals all the time, and we are fairly safe in our environments, depending. we don't have to do this, but we're still wired to do it. And so we do it in every aspect of our life. And when we do it in love relationships, we hurt ourselves, but we can't help it. We have to understand it, know it, and work to override it. So I'm going to give you here. It is Dr. Rick Hansen, and he is a psychologist, author, and speaker, and he's talking to Chris Williamson. And here you're going to hear him outline the 5 main components about this concept, and it's going to be really useful to you. You can replay it. It's great to hear. Let's take a listen.
Take us through the phases of the neurobiology of that negativity bias, sort of how it occurs step by step.
So 5 things we're hardwired to do that were really good for survival back in Jurassic Park, the Stone Age. 1, continually scan for bad news, outside and also inside. Look for the bad. 2, when you identify it, over-focus upon it. So that's one reason why Barbara Fredrickson's work in positive emotions is called broaden and build. The broaden part is that while we're having emotionally positive experiences, our perceptual field is wider. That's which also promotes greater creativity and productivity at work. When that one light on the inner dashboard, mosaic, 10 by 10, 100 little lights, starts flashing red, we ignore all the other green lights and the gray ones, the neutral ones, to focus on that one thing. 3rd, we overreact to it. People react more to loss than to gain. That's Kahneman's work on prospect theory and all the rest of that. Just think about the emotion. Somebody gives you $100. Oh, that's nice. On the other hand, what happens when you realize someone has stolen $100 from you? You know, the intensity is great. So overreact. And then 4th, really important, overlearning. We're much more impacted typically by negative interactions with a friend or a lover or family member than we are by positive interactions. That's why positive interactions need to outnumber significantly by, people debate the number, the factor, but by 3 to 1, 5 to 1 or more, in a long-term relationship. And when I stumbled on that fact in grad school, I revisited the last 3 days with my wife and realized I needed to raise my game in terms of the ratio of positive and negative. So that's 4 things right there. That's really natural. And then 5th, as a result of that, the brain gets sensitized. It's designed to become sensitized to negative experiences. So when we're identified with anxiety, when we're hijacked by it, or anger or frustration, or feeling inadequate, that gets reinforced very quickly in the brain, and we become even more vulnerable to that kind of experience in the future. Now, that's different from mindfully experiencing negative emotions, which actually then tends to neutralize them because we're starting to associate a kind of undisturbed observing of the negative experience with the negative experience, which tends to calm it down. So those are 5 things that we're just naturally hardwired to do, which then 6th, outside of the neurobiology in the world, tends to create vicious cycles with other people. And that's the negativity bias in the nutshell. There's certain situations where it's really useful. You grow up in a war zone or you live in a war zone, it's really handy. But for most people, modern life, most of the time, it creates all kinds of needless suffering and needless aggravation with other people.
So you understand what he's saying here is that we are wired to see the negative. It was very useful. And we are still wired to do that. But when we do it in the modern world, we continue to propagate it in our minds and make more of what is negative than what is positive. What I really like what he's talking about here in terms of being in a relationship is that one thing that we must build on is continuing to reinforce positive experiences and making more positive experiences. The Gottmans talk about this. Julie and I forget his name, but the couple that talk about relationships and bids for connection, and how couples that respond positively with even the smallest uh, taking into account somebody's bid for connection, no matter how small, but accept it and make something of it, again, no matter how small, do so much better and stay married together, so much so that uh, doing the studies, the Gottmans and the researchers can tell from watching tapes of couples and predict with great accuracy which couples will stay together and which ones will not by which couples actually accept bids for connection and positively interact in terms of those small things, very, very small. Just for example, they use an example I remember of they're filming couples in a room together for hours and long periods of time, so much that the couple forgets. And maybe one is on their phone and the other is looking out the window. And the one says, "Oh my goodness, look at that bird." And the all that was necessary was for the other in the couple to look up from the phone and say, "Oh yeah, really pretty," or whatever. Just, "Oh yeah, cool bird." Just something as simple as that. That's an acceptance of the other's bid for connection. It's presence, really. But even when the other was on their phone, that this can happen. And with great accuracy, the researchers could predict how the couples would do over the long run. This, veers from the rewiring and the negativity bias, but it all plays in together in terms of how you must begin to think about your thoughts. It's that simple. Think about your thoughts, connect to your thoughts, and override the normal and natural tendency to go to the negative. That's what the negativity bias is. Our normal, natural, and innate functional heretofore need to look for the negative in any situation. We've extrapolated it in our modern world to all manner of things, emotional, sociological, culturally, all of it. And what happens is our world reinforces it, like here on the phone, right? We are reinforced with negative. For example, negative thumbnails get more views and interest than positive ones. Years and years ago, they decided that they would, I think they tried it in LA, that the news was very down and negative, and I don't know what decade this was in, but well before social media. They thought, okay, well, we'll do like happy news because people want that in their lives. They want more happiness and more positive news. Well, it doesn't sell. So they scratched that idea. It doesn't sell. Now, interestingly enough, like feel good stuff, does sell to some degree. If it makes us feel something. For example, we will watch videos, like little snippets of videos on Instagram or anywhere where we see something sweet. Maybe it's an animal video, something they do that's like a person or that makes us feel something. But generally speaking, it has to start with either something very clever and funny or negative. An emaciated child or doggy. You know those commercials they used to run. They probably still do if anybody still watches TV, for giving money to famine or animal causes, and they have the horrible emaciated doggy. um, Years ago, if anybody's old enough to remember, they would have children in Africa who, with famine, their bellies were bloated and they were emaciated and there were flies. It was just awful, and some people just couldn't even look at it. But still, these ads worked. They went either to our heart, but it was still something not pleasant, not good, not happy. So this is just our wiring, and certainly marketers know how it works. We have to make sure that in our love relationships, we are with our minds overriding the negativity bias. Excuse me. Does that make sense? If it does, put it in the comments. Yes. Sorry for my voice tonight. My goodness. So, I want to see if maybe not. What was going to happen tonight was that Christine from last week, if you remember, was going to come on and tell us how she did. We got the confirmation from her today, but so far something must have occurred because she did not come on. But we were talking to her about staying in the positive. It relates to what we're talking about tonight. Actually, overriding the negative thoughts, how we must actually take the thoughts consciously from our consciousness, meaning a manufactured thought, and actually put it into our subconscious, much like we would do if we wanted to calm a child who was fearful or anxious, upset. And not just with everything's going to be fine, that kind of thing. More like we talk about here, and which Neville Goddard talks about all the time, is your I am, your agency. I like to think of it as that. I even use for myself the I am of my agency. I have agency. I am the architect of my life. And you can put, instead of life, which is just general, I am the architect of my love life. What is that saying to your subconscious? I create it. I have agency and power to create what I want in my life. And this flies in the face of everything we are told now, that's wishful thinking, that's not truthful, it's not possible. It absolutely is. It's what I do with women, and it is life and love changing when you get it, because the man in relationships, he is a reflection of your self-concept. He absolutely is, just as in some ways you are a reflection of his. If he has agency, if he's strong and capable and shows you respect, and honors you and is somewhat dutiful and loyal, great qualities, faithful, you are going to reflect that back. Those are really high level, in some ways, high agency traits, concepts. But they're really in a relationship to a great degree co-created, because we don't attract what we want. We attract equal to who we are. And it's who we are in our mind. That's why you can have, or you will see, for example, celebrities who they've got the world at their fingertips, really doing well financially, and certainly successful, and they're maybe talented, and so on and so forth. Beautiful actresses, singers, dancers, whatever, and celebrities, stars, and yet their love life is a train wreck, because it's not about the outside. It's not about their human doing, it's their human being that precipitates and co-creates their world. It's the programming that, no matter how beautiful, talented, successful, if their programming was such that they are less than, not really wanted, and many successful people have this, because to the degree that they had to show themselves to be worthy in many different ways, scholastically, athletically, maybe it's musically, or in some other realm, they were getting their worth and value from that, proving themselves in that way, because they were not feeling like they had the unconditional love or caring or respect or attention, affection. Someone on Instagram says, yep, I can't turn it off in my head. Okay, so Orlando, can't turn it off in your head. We can work on that, and it's important that we do. And I give something very simple to start doing, that when you first, it's awareness, catching yourself and your negative thoughts. And I mean, we do it so many times per day if we do not start to become aware of it. And once you do, you can do things like say, stop, or if you can't say it, you're at work or whatever, recognize, I'm doing it, I'm doing it, I'm doing it. Now that right there, you're saying, I am doing it. Okay. Right there, ding, ding, ding. You know, you must now put in what you want instead. Opal says, breathe. Yes, if you can, and that comes natural to you, breathe. Yes. Sometimes it is change your physical state. If you just even get up, if you walk to the restroom, walk to the coffee machine, walk, change your state. Someone said, when it change a trait, start by changing your state. And we can use that in state of being, state of physical being, whatever, change your state. But it's going to be really helpful if you either write down and there's been some work on this. We need 9 positive I am statements. I am, and then what you want to embody and become. If you do this 6 times a day, and that may seem like a lot, but it's only 9 statements, even if you just remind yourself. It's fast. But certainly if you're getting into a negative spiral. Now, I'm not saying this is so easy, but it is simple. I say if you can't think of what it is that you need and you don't know what your programming was, but most of the time your baby programming had to do with your worth, value, lovability. Because when we're a baby and we don't get the attention we need, which most of us do not to the degree that we need it, and so it is interpreted through the baby mind, this is until 7, that we're less than, we're not worthy. It's never, no matter what happens to us from birth to age 7, that we're the victim of it. It's actually that we created it because of who we are. We are not good enough to get our needs met. This is a glitch in our system. It's not true. We know from our adult minds it's not true. Babies are absolutely, abjectly the victims of whatever happens to them. The children. But the baby mind cannot interpret it as that. This is the psychological trap of being a human being. And why we all have something, because we've all been babies. And once we hit the age of reason, which is 7, we start reinforcing the programming, whatever that was. Didn't get the attention I thought I should have. That's your programming. What you do is you start playing it out. I'm not deserving of attention. Then you don't get the friends. Maybe you get bullied. There's so many different ways it can take form, but in some way, shape, or form, it does take form. So now, as the adult you are, you can put in the thoughts you want to have. If you cannot think of what it is, think of it around worth, value, and what you want to create. Go down the alphabet. For example, I am the architect of my life. I am becoming all that I need and want to be to have all that I desire in my life. I am creating the awesome life I desire. See all those A's, and you'll have your own. B, I am becoming who I want to be to have the beautiful life I desire. I believe in my ability. Just put the B with the A. C, I create the life and love I desire. I am creating a wonderful space for us, think of you and your man, to thrive. We are destined, or I am destined to have the life that I desire and deserve. Everything is coming my way because it is a new day and I am becoming new. You see, you can just keep, and here's the thing about the alphabet exercise. Noble says she loves the alphabet exercise. I'm glad you do, because it's really, really good when you don't know and you can't think of it. This comes easily. And what it does, it gets you out of the loop of the negative thinking. And it just takes a little bit to get you out of that. Generally speaking, you can do it very quickly. You can get out of that loop. That's what's important to do. And you can then, instead of like Orlando saying, I can't turn it off in my head, I am getting good at this exercise. You see? Just start putting that in your mind. We become what we think about. So it's absolutely possible. Start. And as you go down the list, it's going to get harder. Start with something else, like start with L. I love myself. And if that feels odd or it's not true, what does that tell you? That tells you that your subconscious mind is hitting back against that truth. So that means there's a lie in there, right? In the subconscious part. So you need to counteract it with the truth you want it to have. I make things happen in my life. And go through the alphabet at different spaces. The act of actually thinking will get you out of that loop and distract you from whatever that negative thing is in the moment that is negative. Like the doctor talks about, you want, Dr. Hansen, you want to understand that this is a normal state, but we just don't want to be normal. We want to have extraordinary experiences. We want to have extra special relationships. We want to do this for ourselves. And if you have children, there's nothing more important to impart to them. If you don't know him, Garen Jones, Garrain, he's on Instagram. He was a model, a beautiful looking guy, married, 2 children, and he has some great videos with his very young daughter. Maybe she's 2 at the time or something. And it's so wonderful because it just shows how at that age, whatever you put in the child's mind and it repeats, it starts to embody. And so simple. And he's holding the child and he says to her, "You are beautiful." And she just, "I am beautiful." So cute. Can't say the word. "I'm beautiful," she says. And the joy. And it just comes out of nowhere. And he's saying, these sentences to her. And she actually, and it's, there's part of me that I see that, and it's so great, that he's doing that with his child. And I want to spread that word for all parents, for all children. But isn't it sad? Like, sometimes you think back and you think, oh my gosh, what would have happened for me if I had had that, right? And that's okay, because we all wouldn't be who we are without our positive and negative experiences. But the point is that when you have a foundation that, like that child is going to have, it's just going to be so different for her. And she won't have to do as much rewiring. So we have to think of ourselves in terms of our conscious mind as our parents, so to speak, speaking to that subconscious part of us, which is our child mind. It's like the program running on the computer in the background. Let's work on updating it to the program we want, that's going to go the distance, that we can keep updating. I say to my clients when they come on board and we start this, in wherever she is, and we start, I say, you know what? And I give videos to watch and exercises to do. I say, this is going to be something you need to truly focus. It's like a part-time job for the next 2 weeks. You don't want to leave your subconscious mind alone for a minute, because we have to get into the practice of thinking this way. Does that make sense? I was hoping that Christine was going to come on tonight, because I don't know if you remember, but last Wednesday night she was on and we said, let's give an update on how it went all week doing the work. And she talked to my assistant today and said, yes, she would be. So something must have happened. And that's a shame. But if you want to talk to me like she did, and I'll play a little bit of this. This was us last week in talking to her about just what we're talking about tonight. And she was going to work on it and let us know how it was. I'm going to play this clip for you, and you can hear what this was for her in her taming her trigger, so to speak, that we talk about in all the time here. Let me play this for you. This was last Wednesday night. You are intuiting that if he doesn't keep it going, he's not interested. I can tell you, as the male, that is not true, because ding, 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 men love through wondering. He will be in touch, and you're here. If he's not, in a week's time, we'll talk again. But can you do this work for 1 week and commit to some of the things we're talking about here tonight? And actually say to yourself, I'm so happy and grateful now that I am stepping into trust and being grateful for having him in my life, which inspires him to reach out, connect, and commit. And you're going to have a very hard time believing that. That's not what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to memorize it and start repeating it orally. And if you want to write it, also good. Can you do that for 1 week and bring that back to us? We want to hear how it went. Is it a deal?
Yes, I can do that.
Fantastic. You're so deserving. And this is going to get better. You're going to be happier, healthier, and you're on your way. And you want to say that tonight. I'm starting out. I'm on my way. I'm making this happen. Isn't it exciting? If you are feeling anxiety, say to yourself, I'm excited by the possibilities, because anxiety and excitement in our bodies are the same thing. So you see, I'm sorry, she wasn't able to come on, I guess, because she said she had done it this week and we wanted to hear. So maybe, do that in the future. I think. Yes. So the point being that you can change that and certainly override, even when you're feeling anxious. I am excited. Don't fall into the I am not something. Okay? That doesn't work. If you don't want to be anxious, you want to replace it with what you want to be. Sometimes for some people, it's saying, I am calm. I am calm. I am calm. It's funny because just saying that now, when I said it, I calmed down a little. Words have power. Words have so much power. Use that. Use the power of your mind to create the power in your life. I am creating my life. I am recreating myself and my life. Whatever excites you. And when you're feeling anxious, either it's I am calm and you breathe, or I'm excited. I'm excited by this possibility. It is a game changer in your love life because this positivity is going to change his experience of you. And then we get to work on more of the mechanics of men. And, I'm here Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays on these lives to answer those questions. And if you have any that I can answer in the chat here, I'm happy to do that. Or get into the 80/20 Wonder Club so that you get all of the podcasts where I have real life relationship coaching conversations with women who bring a full situation to me, and we go through what's necessary to get to the other side and get her what she wants. There are 200 plus episodes there for you to listen to. Categories like Get an Ex Back, using my Lure Him Back approach, situationships, friends with benefits, older women, younger men, dating divorced, everything. And it can help you really, really start to rewire in a way towards what works. That's what this is all about. Getting to a regulated place emotionally for yourself, because that's what allows the man to feel safe in a relationship with you. And he needs to feel safe from dysregulation. Female dysregulation for a man is extremely disconcerting. He mostly doesn't have the tools to deal with it. So it's truly important that we do it for ourselves and keep him from the effects of it. This is what helps him to be able to commit. When we put any of our emotional stuff that he didn't create onto him, it puts a burden on a man that he's not equipped typically to handle very well. And you can say, well, I do that for him. Yes, but you are more naturally, fundamentally equipped to do it, understand it to a great degree, and have the bandwidth to do it. Men typically don't, and so it doesn't work very well the opposite way. It's fair? Maybe not. Can't say fair or not fair, it just is. We have to deal with inconvenient truths, because when we do, we win. Mm-hmm. I think it's like child-mother dysregulation. Oh, yes. Nothing as quite as damaging for a child as a dysregulated mother. Mm-hmm. Yes. And again, it's not when it's a one-off thing, or sometimes nobody's a saint, nobody's perfect, nobody's regulated all the time. But if you're going to be a mother, if you are dysregulated, you must keep your young child from seeing, witnessing, feeling any of it, because a child, birth to age 7, does not intuit that it's about you, does not take it in that they're the victim of your dysregulation in any way, shape, or form, or even just an observer of it. They psychologically, it is just their state that they are the cause of that dysregulation. This is what is so profound. And if you're with a man who had that, now you're in a romantic relationship with him and you display it, guess what that does? It takes him right back to his baby program state. And he's going to run from it. This is why it is so important to be regulated to the greatest degree possible, as much as possible. And here's what I say. It's in the striving that, or the striving is all we can do. Recognizing it, being aware, and then working towards it. And the reason I call it the 80-20 Wonder Club, because love, like life, is best lived in 80-20, meaning we strive for 100%. If we reach 80%, the 20% we're not perfect is not going to matter. So I hope you will join the club, hear those full episodes with all the coaching about mindset, manifestation, mechanics of men practices, especially if you want to get an ex back, if you want a relationship to go the distance and something is hanging you up, we have to get what's really going on to get the right remedy for it. And I provide that objective viewpoint from my perspective with all of my guests. You can come on to the podcast for free, anonymously. You get a full coaching conversation. There are no strings to that. I welcome that to be able to help you. You don't have to be a member of the club to be on the podcast and be a guest. All you have to do is write to my assistant, Michelle at coachpaulagrooms.com. Say, I would like to apply to be a guest. Simple, fill out a guesting form, tell us your situation, and we can get you in most of the time. So I hope you will do that, because all the situations that are in the club are so helpful to other women who may need it and not have the ability to come on, or are too fearful or anxious to put themselves out there, even anonymously. I understand that. It's not for everyone. But I honor the women that do it, because sometimes just taking that accountability and saying, I think I'll help myself and get this and help someone else. That's huge. In the meantime, join the club. You can come on here and we can talk. I'm sorry that Christine was not able to come on tonight. Christine, we missed you, and hopefully we will talk to you again. And in the meantime, for all of you, it's less than a latte a month, and there's no commitment if you join monthly. You can cancel at any time, but you can be on here. We can be talking, and like you heard me talk to Christine there, and we can get your question answered more readily than in the chat, and especially if you're over here on Instagram. I hope you will head over to YouTube as a favor to me. Please do that if you're on YouTube at all, and subscribe, because I am grateful for every subscriber here. You are helping me to grow the channel, which keeps me here helping you, and that gives me so much. I'm grateful for each and every one of you. Put a like if you would. That helps the algorithms show what's interesting to you and helps me create content that is interesting for you and to you. And you can be here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I can answer anything that comes up for you. But it's an interesting night tonight. Not a lot of questions, and I will love you and leave you with that. Be back here on Friday for the next live, and I'll see you then in the next video. Thanks again for your support.